PACTV is pleased to host this Q&A with the candidates running for the Plymouth and Barnstable County Senate seat. And right now we are fortunate to have Susan Moran, a Democrat from Falmouth, joining us on set. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
A couple questions before we get into the actual questions is, what is your current occupation?
So I am a business lawyer as well as a realtor.
Okay. And do you now or have you ever served on any boards or committees, either elected or appointed?
I have both. When I was a board member of the library, I was asked to run for the Board of Selectmen and did. I spoke to a lot of folks and I chaired that board for a couple of years. I continue to serve on it. I'm also currently the chair of Barnstable County Economic Development, and I hold a legislative position on the Barnstable County Assembly of Delegates. I am deputy chair.
Okay. And where can constituents go to find out more about you and your campaign?
We have a really great website, votemoran.com. It tells you about the candidacy, volunteer opportunities, and the important dates of March 3rd for the primary and the 31st for the election.
Okay, now we're going to start with our questions. Okay? Number one, given that you will be coming into office midterm, how do you plan to tackle the process of getting up to speed on the myriad of topics and work product already being done in the 6 towns that you will represent?
Well, the important thing that'll be going on is really the budget. So there are many issues to look at in terms of the transportation initiatives that are going on, education initiatives that are going on. There are climate change, crucial initiatives that have already been filed. I intend immediately to join the legislative initiatives on all of those issues. And in fact, I was just at the State House a couple of weeks ago speaking before the board, the legislative committee with respect to Holtec, and really the concerns of folks in Plymouth about downsizing all of the safety requirements of Holtec. So that's something I'm going to be watching and looking at very closely.
And again, Holtec is the company that has taken over
for the decommissioning of the Plymouth nuclear plant. Yes, a concern for the entire district, a big concern on both sides of the canal.
And what about the individual towns, the 6 towns that you'll be serving? How are you going to get up to speed with what they're concerned with?
Sure. So a lot of the issues are really the same with respect to the district in terms of the transportation concerns. We've got the bridges. We've got concerns just generally about whether there might be a gas tax. How are we going to pay for this infrastructure improvements that the governor has proposed? That's one issue. We've got issues on education. There's some increased funding, and we want to be sure. In fact, one of the reasons I want to go to the State House is to be sure that the Plymouth Barnstable District gets its fair share on that education funding. So those are 2 of the primary issues. Senator Sear is taking on an incredibly big initiative with respect to health care and being sure that mental health is part of that. That's something else that I really want to join in and be supportive of.
Okay. Question number 2. What do you think are the priorities within the district regarding climate change, and how do they dovetail into the state's priorities and initiatives regarding that same topic?
So climate change I look at as an emergency. As the chair of the Board of Selectmen, I was the first board that started a climate action committee so that every initiative, whether it's repair of a bridge or any sort of infrastructure, we simultaneously look at what does this mean for the next 30 years, the next 50 years? The entire district is almost entirely shoreline concerned. And so when we look at big climate change issues, that's the problems that I look at. We have a tourism economy. We want to be sure that we protect this infrastructure. But I also want to look ahead, and I also want to look at how we're going to fund this. One of the initiatives that I believe strongly in is the blue and green economy, and working at funding these climate change challenges so that they actually create jobs. You know, when you look at the turbines that are being put up off sea, those are engineering jobs. Those are really important jobs that our local colleges can really we can have a relationship with, so the kids don't have to move out of the district in order to have high-paying jobs. It also is a housing production issue. We want to be sure we have housing for everyone. So those are the things that come together when I look at how initiatives can be funded within the project. So the green and blue economy is a terrific opportunity for young people to stay in the district, have jobs, and that lower the taxes because these initiatives are paid for by local businesses.
Can you define the green and blue economy?
Sure. So the green economy would be things like solar development. As a lawyer, I do solar development with landowners. You know, folks that have tree farms or cranberry farms are looking for different alternative uses of their properties. It's a great investment, and it's also great for gas emissions and going forward to keep our earth green. When you look at the blue economy and the fact that we're so coastal, we have ocean turbines that are clean sources of energy, and again, a great opportunity for folks looking for careers to get into that economy and really benefit themselves in the district.
Okay. And we'll go on to question number 3. Currently, there are many challenges regarding housing. Seniors wanting to downsize and limited affordable options. Workforce housing for those who work in our area but can't afford to live here. And affordable housing in general, renters or buyers. Given these challenges, what is your plan to tackle them?
When I get to the State House, one of the things I want to look at is having a tax credit for landlords who will rent year-round. And so we have a problem all over the district with summer rentals being so expensive as compared with year-round. I think one way to really even out that incredible expense is if we have a statewide program where that landlords who own those properties will be able to better afford year-round rentals at a rate that the average person can afford. We're talking about housing for everyone. We're talking about our neighbors, our teachers, our emergency responders. We want a vibrant community with folks from all employment, hospital employees, the tourism employees. We want to be able to keep those folks here so that we have a sustainable lifestyle going forward. Folks who are 60 and over, a lot of times just really want to downsize, and what in terms of the regional development, we want places where folks can live where it's handy to public transportation. I've been on the board of the Cape Cod Regional Transport Authority, and I understand how important public transportation is. The CCRTA is even looking at school programs so that we have a new generation that is carbon emission sensitive and really looking at alternative forms of transportation. So looking at regional transportation options is another. And when we look at housing going forward, I think at the State House we've got to look at having a 2/3 majority for town meeting. One of the things that's made it very tough for us to develop housing that's affordable for everyone in the places that the town wants. So I'm in favor of a good degree of municipal control so that you can have your communities really feel the way they always have, but that they are welcoming to folks who need the housing of all types.
Okay, excellent. And our 4th question. What do you see in the realm of health and human services as the most vital current concerns that you will be addressing?
So for me, it's twofold. It's the cost of health care for everyone, and it really dovetails with the scourge of opioid and other addictions. In my background, my dad was in a wheelchair my whole life, and I know what it's like to really try to get the services that are affordable for veterans. In my history, I'm a breast cancer survivor. I know firsthand the horrifying, scary challenges that people who are facing life and death decisions go through, and I know what that means for their families. Happily, I'm here 20 years later because I could afford good health care. You know, another parallel, another side of the spectrum is the scourge of opioid addiction. I worked for 5 years inpatient with addictions treatment, and I know how incredibly challenging it is for families. I know how it shakes families. I know how it affects everyone, including employers. And I think there should be, at the State House, I want to look into having programs where employers are supported for keeping jobs open, so that folks who are dealing with the scourge of addiction, and it's alcohol as well, those folks can really get into a treatment that's long enough that gives them a chance to really climb out of that. Because what happens when you look at the changes of brain chemistry and the way these chemicals affect your bodies, the research is not comparable, where what the insurance companies cover is the same as what you medically need to really climb out of those issues. So those are things I'm headlong committed to solving, and to looking at creative legislation at the State House for that to happen.
Do you think the state has done enough in the area of opioids?
Well, you know, I'm buoyed by the fact of, there being more attention. Senator Sear is working on a committee that's looking at mental health side of it. But I don't, the short answer is no. I think we have to do more. We can do more. I think businesses are interested in not having the cost of retraining people, not having the cost of losing really good employees who know your business and who are great customer service folks, but who deal with this scourge. It's a healthcare issue, and I think we can do more. This is a solvable problem. It's going to take a lot of funding.
Okay. And for the remaining 5 minutes or so, you can talk about anything you want, something that we've not discussed, or an area that you want to expand upon that we've already covered, something personal, whatever you want to chat about.
Oh, thanks. People often ask me, why are you running? And the reason is that, I've worked with the delegation for a long time, having been in the both local and the county legislative government. And that's the kind of close interaction that we need going forward for the Plymouth Barnstable district. But yet we've lost Senator DiMacedo, who I have a long friendship with, and we would often speak about local issues. What I've done over the last 5.5 years is do a lot of problem solving with the district, locally and regionally. And I know a lot of the programs that we've started to work on really require going to the State House for funding, for one thing. And so that's something. I am a litigation attorney, and I am a fierce competitor. I've had a lifetime of challenges, like many people. And when you grow up, the oldest of 5, lower middle class, dad in a wheelchair, he was a great example where he was involved in the community and taught me that one person can make a difference. And so, having the opportunity with folks having supported me and in the and what the campaign has done over the past short period, we're moving ahead. People call me the Terry Murray Democrat, and what that means in terms of our candidacy is that as a Democrat, I believe in all of those important issues of serving the public, but the Terry Murray part is really the practical aspect, where I look at how are we going to pay for these things? How are we going to have programs that don't break the back of the middle class? So I look at business solutions to those economical problems. Our candidacy going forward, I'm looking at important things like ocean development, where we can have, for example, farm seaweed, and folks who have families at home can continue to work at home and yet step out and farm even if they have small children. I'm looking at tax credit implications, where workers can get a tax credit that might solve commuting problems, where they either telecommute from home, and employers can keep those good employees, but it solves our carbon emission issue. It helps with our congestion in traffic. So those are the kinds of, those are the kinds of problem-solving skills that I've learned as in doing municipal government for 5 years. I'm not a career politician. I was at a library board and I was asked to run, and just from that point on, I had coffee or tea with about 300 people. Whoever I met suggested I meet with someone else, and for me, it's really about public service. My dad was a public servant. My uncle was a public defender. He was a public servant. And my skills as a lawyer and a mediator have made me successful in putting projects together. As for the Board of Selectmen, I started a community and initiative where everyone who's a taxpayer who's involved in a project, town expansion of Route 28, now has the opportunity and to be part of a committee where they get direct access to all the town's experts. And that's something, when you get that kind of, if you have a concern about a project and you get to address that local or municipal official directly, that's where the best solutions come from, and that's the kind of senator I will be.
Okay, thank you so much. We have had our time here with Susan Moran, a Democrat from Falmouth, and you have been watching PACTV's Q&As with the candidates running for the Plymouth and Barnstable County Senate seat.